Chapter 12. Oliver is to take part in a robbery. At around midday the next day, when the Dodger and Bates had gone out, Mr. Fagin gave Oliver a long lecture on the ungratefulness he had shown in trying to run away from his friends. He reminded him that he had taken him in and given him shelter and protection. He also told him the story of another young lad whom Fagin had caused to be hanged because he had tried to inform them to the police. Little Oliver's blood ran cold as he listened to these words and tried to understand the dark threats they carried. The old man, smiling in his ugly manner, ran his fingers through Oliver's hair and said that if he kept quiet and did what he was told to do, they could still be very good friends. Then, taking his hat and covering himself with an old overcoat, Fagin went out and locked the door behind him. And so Oliver remained that day, and for the greater part of many days after that, seeing nobody between early morning and midnight, and left during the long hours to his own sad thoughts. One cold, wet, windy night, Fagin wrapped himself tightly in his overcoat and, pulling the collar up over his ears to hide the lower part of his face completely, left his home. He walked along the dark, muddy streets until he came to where Bill Sikes lived. The dog growled as the old man touched the handle of the front door, and Bill demanded to know who was there. "Only me, Bill, only me, my dear," said Fagin, looking in. "Come in, then," said Sikes. "Lie down, you stupid animal. Don't you know the devil when he's got an overcoat on? Well?" "Well, my dear," replied the old man. "Ah, Nancy." The young lady, who was sitting by the fire, told him to pull up a chair. "It is cold, Nancy dear," said Fagin as he warmed his hands over the fire. "It seems to go right through one," added the old man, touching his side. "Give him something to drink, Nancy. Now then, I'm ready. Say what you've got to say." "About the house at Chertsey. When is it to be done, Bill? When is it to be done? Such silver, my dear, such silver," said Fagin, rubbing his hands. "Toby Crackit has been hanging about the place for a fortnight, and he can't get one of the servants to help us. The old lady has employed them for 20 years now, and if you were to give them £500, they wouldn't help us. It's a sad thing," said Fagin, "to lose so much when we had set our hearts on it." "So it is," said Sikes. "Worse luck." After a long silence, Sikes suddenly added, "Fagin, will you give me £50 extra, if it's safely done from the outside?" "Yes," said Fagin. "Then," said Sikes, "we'll do it as soon as you like. Toby and me went over the garden wall last night to examine the door and the windows. The house is secured at night like a prison, but there's one part we can break through safely." "Which is that, Bill?" asked Fagin eagerly. "Never mind which part it is," said Sikes. "You can't do it without me, I know, but it's best to be on the safe side when one deals with you." "As you like, my dear, as you like. Is there no help needed but yours and Toby's?" "None," said Sikes, "except a boy. You must find us a little boy." "Oliver's the boy for you, my dear," replied Fagin in a whisper. "He's been in good training these last few weeks, and it's time he began to work for his bread. Besides, the others are all too big." "Well, he is just the size I want," said Mr. Sikes. "And he will do everything you want, Bill, my dear," interrupted Fagin, "if you frighten him enough." "Frighten him?" repeated Sikes. "If he doesn't obey, you won't see him alive again, Fagin. Think of that before you send him." "I've thought of it all," said the old man. "I've had my eye upon him, my dears. As soon as we make him feel that he is one of us, when we fill his mind with the idea that he has been a thief, then he's ours, ours for life."
"When is it to be done?"
asked Nancy. "I planned with Toby the night after tomorrow," replied Sikes, "if he heard nothing else from me." "Good," said Fagin. "There's no moon." "No," replied Sikes. "You'd better bring the boy here tomorrow night. I shall leave here an hour after daybreak." After some discussion, it was decided that Nancy should go to Fagin's house next evening and bring Oliver back with her, since Fagin remarked that the boy would be more willing to accompany the girl who had so recently spoken up for him than anybody else. He looked closely at Nancy before he took his leave. Then he returned to his dark little house, where the Dodger was sitting up, waiting for his return.